Yeah, I love that, and it's important. What you mentioned, the psychology of, someone explained this to me the other day. Like they say, you should buy low and sell high, and but
Yeah.
that do what other people aren't doing, or buy when people are scared. And he said, who people are. They're you,
Yeah.
so you should buy when you're scared. And it almost,
Right.
because you're part of the people. And there's almost sort of that same, um, perhaps it does feel risky, and it's the first time you invest in another country. I'm sure
Yeah, sure.
would feel this huge unknown thing. Actually, maybe you could talk about what was the first thing
What,
major
do,
investment or
do,
purchase
you,
you did?
do you know what else feels risky when you do it the first time? Having sex. No one's clinging to their virginity at 52 years old because they don't listen. You get in there, you do it, and you get over it. And you know, I don't remember my very first deal, but I remember an early deal, and I was buying a property in Tbilisi, Georgia, and we negotiated it down. I had a lawyer. Always a good idea to find a lawyer in these countries because they really they know a whole network of people and all that. And so we negotiated this down to $22,000, like this little space, and it was a cash deal. People, can I get a mortgage on this? I mean, when I say cash, I mean like really cash. And I remember talking to the lawyer, and I said, like you mean I'm going to go take cash to the bank? He said, yeah. And then I'm like, and then what? He's like, well, then you're going to walk to the closing table at the notary office. And I said, well, what if something happens? Now, Georgia is one of like the 5 safest countries in the world. You could walk around, you could be a woman walking around, naked at 3 a.m. and you'd be fine. But he said, like, Andrew, no, this is no problem. Don't worry, you will go with my partner. He is my friend. He is black belt in karate. If someone comes, cha cha cha. And and we walked like I don't know half a mile or something to up this street in Old Town Tbilisi. We went to the notary, and the deal went down beautifully, and we all signed, and I owned the property. And it seems weird, right? But now it's the point where I have a coach last year. He's like, listen, Andrew, you're a little stressed. Why don't we make a deal? How about one citizenship and one new house a year? I said, I don't know if I can do that because it's so easy now because you've done it, right? Um, and I think that being diversified, I mean, if you just look at the last year, financially, personally, I have not suffered the way people have suffered. I have places to go. I have moved. Like when things get bad in one place, I go to the next place, and I have the right to do that. And I'm not begging as a tourist. I'm going as a resident, going as a citizen. I have different passports. If in Malaysia where I live, my wife is originally from Moscow. I was originally from the U.S. Neither Russians nor Americans can enter Malaysia as residents because their countries are COVID basket cases. But yet we're not using those passports. I obviously don't have a U.S. passport anymore. But we use other passports and they're not on the naughty list. And so I think that, the idea of being financially diversified, being personally diversified, having things spread out has been really successful. Obviously, the last year has been successful for us as a business because people are, I think they're seeing what's really happening, what I've been talking about for years and what I've been being laughed at. And so for some of those years, right? And now people are finally starting to. I've had so many people say, I would never think 5 years ago I was going to do this. Never think.
Yeah, it's perfect timing for you to be the expert in this. How many? I can imagine. I only have just the U.S. passport, but I can imagine it would feel so cool to have a bunch of passports. It's like James Bond,
Yeah.
when he opens his stash and they got the backup passports. How many passports do you have
It's hard
at
to
this
keep
point?
track these days. I don't talk about all of them. I've talked about the economic ones, and I've done St. Lucia. I did a program called the Comoros, which people kind of misunderstand because they suspended there were two different programs in the Comoros. It's this African like archipelago, and it's a nice like backup passport. You can travel to Asia with it. Like I've been to Singapore and stuff. And so I keep the citizenship. I actually have a good relationship with some people in the government there. They've been very nice to me, but. They suspended the program. I'm still a citizen. I have a certificate of citizenship, and I have some others. I'm working on a couple right now. It's kind of become a hobby for me. I remember I went in for a visa appointment. The guy's like, "Why do you have this one?" It's like, I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. And I think he thought I was BSing him, but like I honestly kind of do. And I think more importantly, um, as a consumer of this stuff, I think that I'm different. Even though I work with attorneys, I work with accountants to do the proper stuff that has to be done by them. I think, I speak to a human aspect of doing this, where I understand why you are coming to me, and I understand the process on a personal level that someone who just has a business selling passports doesn't, or a guy who's the Panama immigration attorney doesn't, right? And so I don't know how many. I guess if all goes well, maybe in a year or so it'll be half a dozen or something. There's a guy with 8, so maybe that should be the target.
Oh.
I gotta, go after it.
Maybe he'll leave you a couple.
I've always said there should be a marketplace, and we should. I mean, imagine if that was the case. If there was a market, and you thought I was going to be concise, by the way, or something. Imagine if there was a marketplace for, like, hey, I'm Rwandan, but I'm a really rich Rwandan, and I want to be American. Like, I'll trade you passports and give you how much? 7 million? Like, how much would it be? I wonder if we could do that. It'd be fascinating. But alas, we can't, and the guy can't leave me his passport, so I'll have to go out and schlep and get 3 more.
But I appreciate that you're walking the talk, because it's like sometimes, in my business, I'm like learning a thing about some social media. I'm like, do I really want to learn all this? And it's like, I'm gonna be teaching. I'm gonna be, getting this out to my clients and customers. So I need to be the expert so I can reteach it. So yeah, I appreciate that you're doing that.